stop for 1 second. If you have ever had a drink, beer, wine, anything, you did not just drink alcohol. You completed a ritual that is older than language, older than fire, older than the first human who ever walked upright on this planet. And the wildest part? You did not invent the craving. Your body came with it already installed, preloaded, factory setting, 10 million years before you were born. Here is the story of how that happened. And it is going to make you look at your next drink completely differently. It starts not with a human, not with a cave, not even with a clay pot. It starts with a monkey on a forest floor in Africa picking up a piece of rotten fruit. 10 million years ago, your distant primate ancestors lived in trees eating fruit. Sometimes that fruit fell. It sat on the ground in the heat. The sugar inside began breaking down. Yeast got in. Fermentation happened naturally. The fruit started producing small amounts of ethanol entirely on its own. And when those primates ate that fermenting fruit, something interesting happened. They felt good. They had zero understanding of chemistry. They just knew that the slightly rotten fruit on the ground felt better than the fresh fruit in the trees. So they kept going back for it. Over millions of years, this preference got stronger. Because the primates who sought out fermenting fruit found more ripe fruit nearby. Fermentation signals that sugar is close. They got more calories. They survived better. They reproduced more. The love of alcohol was not a mistake. Evolution selected for it on purpose. By the time actual humans appeared, the craving was not a habit. It was written into DNA. Every human who has ever lived came equipped with a brain already wired to enjoy ethanol before taking their first sip. You did not learn to like alcohol. You inherited the liking from a primate 10 million years ago. Now here is where it gets even more interesting. When did humans stop accidentally eating fermented fruit and start deliberately making alcohol? The answer destroys everything you think you know about how civilization started. In 2018, archaeologists were digging inside a cave called Rakfet near Haifa in Israel. The cave was used by a group called the Natufians around 13,000 years ago. Inside they found stone mortars carved directly into the cave floor. When scientists analyzed the residue inside those mortars, they found wheat and barley that had been deliberately soaked, left to germinate, and allowed to ferment. That is beer, brewed deliberately in a cave 13,000 years ago. But here is what changes everything about that discovery. The Natufians were not farmers. Agriculture had not been invented yet. These people were still nomads, hunting animals, gathering wild plants by hand. They did not grow that barley. They found it in the wild and carried it back. And yet brewing beer was already so important that they carved permanent stone equipment into solid rock to do it. Beer came before farming, before pottery, before permanent homes. We have been taught that the sequence goes farming first, then settlements, then civilization, then alcohol. But the evidence says it happened in the exact opposite order. The alcohol came first. And if that cave in Israel surprises you, wait until you hear about Turkey. At a site called Göbekli Tepe in southeastern Turkey, someone built something that should not have existed. Massive carved stone pillars, some weighing over 10 tons, arranged in perfect circles with detailed animal carvings. Built with enormous organized human labor, by hunter-gatherers, people with no permanent homes, no farms, no cities. For years archaeologists stared at Göbekli Tepe completely confused. Why would nomadic people move 10-ton stones up a hill and carve them with precision? Then they found the stone vats, large containers buried at the site. When scientists tested the insides, they found clear chemical evidence of fermented grain. Enough alcohol not for a small group but for enormous crowds. Göbekli Tepe was not a home. It was a gathering place where people from across the entire region came together for ritual and large-scale communal drinking. 10-ton stones moved up a hill, precision carvings, all of it for a place to drink together. This brings up the most explosive question in archaeology. Why did humans start farming? A researcher named Patrick McGovern, who has spent his career studying ancient alcohol, has a radical answer. Humans did not start farming to make bread. They started farming to guarantee a reliable supply of grain to make beer. Think about it. Bread requires grinding, mixing, kneading, shaping, and baking, a long, difficult process. Beer is simpler. Soak grain in water. Wait, fermentation happens by itself. And which motivation is stronger? Eating the same grain in a slightly different shape, or guaranteeing that the thing making you feel the way alcohol makes you feel is always available? His argument is that alcohol is not a product of civilization. It might be the actual cause of it. By 700 BCE, the evidence gets precise. In a village called Jiahu in central China, archaeologists found ancient pottery jars with residue from a fermented drink made of rice, honey, grapes, and hawthorn berries, deliberately combined. The oldest confirmed alcohol recipe on Earth. And it was not crude. It was a sophisticated blend. Whoever made this 9,000 years ago knew exactly what they were doing. Then came Egypt, where alcohol stopped being just a drink drink and became the entire foundation of how society ran. The workers who built the pyramids were not paid in money. They were paid in beer, 4 to 5 liters per person per day. That was the actual salary. It made complete sense. Nile water was often contaminated. Drinking it raw could kill you. The fermentation process eliminates most pathogens. Beer was safer than water. On top of that, beer added calories and nutrients. For someone dragging limestone blocks across the desert all day, those extra calories were not a luxury. They were survival. Beer was simultaneously salary, clean water, meal supplement, and medicine. Egyptian doctors prescribed beer mixed with herbs for everything from digestive problems to infections. The Egyptians believed it was a divine gift from the god Osiris himself. 1 cup doing the job of a paycheck, a water filter, lunch, medicine, and a prayer, all at once. So here is the full picture. 10 million years ago, a primate picked up rotten fruit and evolution locked that preference into every human brain that would ever exist. 13,000 years ago, nomadic humans carved brewing equipment into solid cave rock before they invented farming. 12,000 years ago, they moved 10-ton stones to build a place to drink together. 9,000 years ago, they had multi-ingredient recipes. 5,000 years ago, entire civilizations were running on beer as currency, water source, and religion simultaneously. Alcohol did not appear after humans built civilization. There is a very real case that alcohol is the reason humans built civilization at all. The next time you have a drink, you are not doing something casual. You are participating in a 10-million-year-old tradition that started before your species existed, helped drive the invention of agriculture, motivated the construction of the first monuments on Earth, and powered the building of the ancient world. The glass got fancier, the recipe got more complex, but the craving is exactly the same one a small primate felt on a forest floor in Africa 10 million years ago. We just finally learned how to make it on purpose.